What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Evening Alpha. I'm your host, Todd Wanish, 20-some-odd year veteran of comics and animation and Web3 and startups and just, too much. I need to retire, but I just can't. It's too, I'm young at heart, man. I got this. Anyway, I always feel like every day I swear to God, there's at least one day a week where I feel like that dude from The Predator, where I'm just like, I can make it. He's got like a hole the size of a cannon through him, but it's like, I can do this. Anyway, welcome back. It is Monday, and we have some wonderful guests with us tonight. One of the things that we try to do here on Evening Alpha is do founder talks with some of the hottest companies out there. That's no joke. We've been doing this for a long time, even before we hit the record button and started doing Evening Alpha. We were talking to top entrepreneurs for a very long time. So it's very rare when I can look at a website and talk to a team kind of before Evening Alpha, the actual show, and really become completely impressed where who they have on their team, the partnerships that they have, the projects that they're involved in, really all sing. And so I'm super excited, guys, to introduce you to Visionary Studios. Welcome. What's up, Kyle? What's up, Jasper?
What's up? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So first question, we'll jump in. What in the world is Visionary Studios?
What is Visionary Studios? Okay, I'll give my spiel and then I'll pass it off to Kyle to hit any points I missed. But we are a Web3 based production studio, project development studio. What we do and what we attempt to do to the best of our ability is bring projects that we find have, whether it's IRL utility, provide utility in ways that have not been seen in Web3 yet, and just also utilize our own networks and connections to bring forward projects and products that we feel hit a standard that we haven't seen yet in this space. We're a team made up of 6 close friends that we've actually all known each other, 5 of us for over 10, 15 years. A couple of us going on 20 now, which is kind of crazy. Kyle's out in LA. A lot of us are East Coast based in Connecticut and New York. And all come from, I guess in this space where we are kind of boomers, albeit in our but all coming from our Web2 professions. We got into this space about a year and a half ago. One of our team members, Jago, has been in the space. He got into Bitcoin back in like 2011, 2012. So
that bastard, that son of a bitch.
Right? Yeah, and back then he was telling me about it. I'm like, dude, what is this? Now I'm kicking myself. But he brought us to Solana, and when we put our heads together, we were trying to figure out something that could work, and it became pretty obvious that with all of our Web2, in real life connections from backgrounds in finance, accounting, one of our team members an attorney, Kyle has roots in the Hollywood industry. It really became more of a let's not eliminate any verticals here. Let's put together this team and see, what can be done in this space, whether it be media and entertainment, the culinary and food industry, collectibles, sports cards, things of that nature, and even, Web3, Film 3, storytelling. So we minted back in March and have really just been grinding for the last, 5-6 months, and have since March put out, I think we're going on 4th or 5th project with partnerships lined up with, brick and mortar restaurants, sports collectible card stores, and, a project we'll be talking about a bit tonight, Girl in the Red Cape, with ties to Hollywood screenwriters and Hollywood actors as well. So I'll let Kyle, chime in. I know I did a little spark notes there. So
no, that's great. I think you touched on all. I think, the reason I got so excited about Web3 and what it offers is this interaction and kind of connection between the community and the creators. And we're cutting out so many middlemen and, really giving the power back to the people. And I just, my first NFT was Jenkins Valet. I got that like a year ago, and I instantly understood kind of their vision, and I dove kind of headfirst into Web3. Since then, I knew these guys were coming together to talk about creating a little studio and project development in Solana, and I wanted there's nothing about Web2 that really like sparked my creative inner child as what Web3 did. So it's just we're ready to onboard as many people as possible.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I'm only speaking for myself, but now, we're still stuck in a Web2 world primarily, right? So now every single time, I mean, every time I have to go to a website and put a username and password in, I feel like it's kind of old, and I'm like, oh, you guys are still doing, I never thought I would feel that way, because it's so ingrained into what you do as a consumer or customer of an app or a subscription service or a SaaS or whatever. But it really is like, if I have to, like, I'm now looking for the connect to wallet button, and if it doesn't have that, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, guys. You guys need to catch up. I guess so. One of the things that I'm so curious about, and this is something we talk about internally with Adult Fantasy, is there's one of the challenges of Web3 for us is that in traditional business, startups, Web2, whatever it is, like the golden rule is to work on one thing, right? Okay, pick the thing, focus all your energy on it, cut through it like a laser, as opposed to spread it out like a shotgun, right? Like, just lasers can cut through steel, right? However, when we jumped in, knowing that that's a golden rule, and in my younger days, having proved that by doing everything wrong, like I said, okay, we're coming into Web3, we're going to focus on this thing. We started Adult Fantasy, and instantly there was so much opportunity that we started to see, well, in order for us to get to where we want to go with Adult Fantasy, we ended up having to kind of invent this new technology that we knew could get us there, right? And it also created kind of a side business, right? It created almost, I wouldn't say a separate business, but it could easily be. And so I guess my question to you is, like, when you have this umbrella with Visionary Studios and you're working on multiple projects, you have at least several in the fire, right?
Yep.
That's a tremendous amount to manage, even for a large team with hundreds of millions in funding, right? It is not easy. So how do you manage that overhead, or like, what's your system like?
I mean, the first point I would make, when we launched, and a couple of the first projects that we took on and put the visionary stamp on and brought under the umbrella, came from actual strategic partnerships. So we brought a level of validity. One of the plus sides with our team member Jago is the image that he had portrayed in social media and in Web3 was that of like a white knight, where it was, against getting rugged, transparency in projects. So the strategic partnership element allowed it where, visionary being tied to it was, a stamp of approval in a sense. We obviously also were able to assist in marketing, but to touch on, the workload, obviously with a team of only 6 of us, with those partnerships, they have devs in-house, they have community managers and moderators. So the overhead on, actual labor isn't as intense as if we were to say, let's start up our own 2D, lore building video game. We obviously do have projects that have come 100% in-house where our team is, dedicated full time to that. But a lot of the projects under our umbrella either were pre-existing, prior to Visionary existing, and we've simply placed strategic partnerships with them. Which in turn, obviously allow us to focus on other projects as well.
So is Visionary basically like you're acting maybe not so much as and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like it sounds like while you have the ability to be almost like a production house, it's more as sort of a gateway to Web3, right? So you find projects that are out there, whether it's retail, brick and mortar, whether it's film, just hot projects that you're just like over the moon about, and you say, you guys could really kill it if you were actually in Web3. Let's partner up and we'll bring you over.
So Solo Fox, the 2D game Collectors Club, they were already ingrained in Web3. They had their communities. Solo Fox came to us, almost in a consulting role and an advisory role. Having an attorney on board, and having figures that have been in the space and really conduct themselves in a culturally compliant manner, allow them to come to us and seek advice, marketing strategies, things of that nature. I would say that with the partnerships, they are strategic in the sense that it does also allow visionary access to their teams as well. So in terms of, setting up a dashboard for a mint page, things like that, in turn, we can also utilize their teams, as well as them utilizing the skills we bring to the table. So it does go both ways. It does also alleviate, for the most part, some of that, overhead and labor intensive work.
Interesting. So as a, like, how did you guys set up the mint? So the mint gives access. What does the mint do? Like, what's the NFT do?
Is this for the Visionary Genesis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we had essentially, early on, when we decided we were going to be more of a production studio, project development studio, the initial 777 quantity mint, which is our Genesis membership, really what it is it allows holders access to all the projects under our umbrella, whether it be Solo Fox, Collectors Club, and ties them to, benefits and perks to those projects as well. With that, we've also, one of the things that I love about Visionary right now is we have that partnership lounge where all of the linked artists, developers, any of the team members, whether it be Magic Eden, Portals, game development, even Zach Stenson, Stuzor, and Lance, they're in this partnership lounge and have their own sub channels. But we've created this cool little community of, creatives that in turn we have access to, for developing projects that, let's say, one of the 777 holders is pursuing, offers us that ability to, pursue those.
That's interesting, man. So, well, Kyle, jump in. What do you tell me about some of these projects? Because I know about Girl in the Red Cape, and I know I don't have it in front of me, the baseball, the collectibles one.
Collectors Club, yeah.
Collectors Club. So what are some of these projects?
Yeah, Girl in the Red Cape is our entrance into kind of the world building storytelling vertical. We and especially myself, having come from community building and focused on genre building or community building in a sci-fi brand called Dust, I recognize the power of a really vibrant and engaged fan base. So I've known Stuzor for a while, and I knew his artwork had so many kind of stories behind it that were just begging to be told. And this was our chance. And Web3 was this kind of opportunity to connect Stuzor's art with a really talented writer like Zach Stentz, and just provide enough initial context around some of these worlds that will inspire the community to go kind of fill in those gaps. And we just launched our Discord a couple of days ago, and I think the Mid-Journey AI bot that allows prompts to create a bunch of really cool art. It actually, timing wise, opened it up a really perfect opportunity for them to kind of help contribute to these little side quests, or like little components of this larger universe, but they can do that with visuals, and it doesn't have to be purely like this storytelling in the sense of writing text out. So it's been a lot of fun. We've already had canon being developed about Stu's Cantina and the drinks that you can get there, and I just thought that that is going to be the future of, and I know yourself, I think you also understand this as a storyteller, is that's going to be the future of connecting these creators and with a community, and so we're super excited about that one. That was one we're developing really internally. That was all obviously we brought on Stuzor and Zach to flesh that out, but in terms of all the development, that's an in-house production, if you will. The Collectors Club, I don't know, I didn't know much about it, but it came through one of our community members of, this is an existing group of super engaged like fan base around sports collectors and memorabilia, and talking about cards and whether it's Pokemon or sports. It was such a really cool, unique Discord group that they've created. I love the team. If you ever have a chance to hear Collectors King talk about the project in detail, he's just an incredible guy to be partnered with him. And we're excited to expand that. We're to add more firepower to that project. There's a Gen 1 mint that just took place, and that minted out very quickly, which was in a bear market. We love to see it. And the fan base there just continuously talking not about the floor price of the NFTs, but more the long-term utility, if you will, or the vibe of that is just everything you would want out of a Web3 project. So super into that, and glad that we can call them kind of part of our visionary family. And then we're actually one project we haven't really advertised yet or talked too much about, unless you were in some of our Discord AMAs or dropped in some of our spaces, is we have our own PFP collection, if you will, that we're going to be releasing down the road, that we're really hardcore in development on behind the scenes. A lot of the work that a lot of people don't get to see is ongoing on a day-by-day basis, even though it seems like we're 1000% on the active projects, right? We have a lot cooking behind it. And I think a lot of what we want to do there is bring a large Web2 offering, or these existing in real life businesses, to kind of a Web3. And Sticky's the Finger Joint was one of our first projects that did that. We partnered with a fast food chain in New York, in the New York area. They have 13 locations, and this came through one of our Jago's Foodie Friends project. I think how much did it sell for, Jasper? I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a picture of like of
chicken tenders or something.
Chicken tenders, yeah, or the French fries.
Yeah, he actually launched that project like 3 days before our Genesis mint, and we were like, what is going on here? People went rogue. But no, it ended up, I think it was one of the marketing directors saw that just a photograph of their chicken tenders sold for like $6,000, and sparked some interest. Yeah, I mean, has been a huge foodie guy, and had his entire Instagram for probably 4 or 5 years was just photos of food from his travels, and it caught their attention and got them super interested in the space. And it was kind of just, a perfect partnership. And
we were able to release that collection. It's Hungry Robot Chicken Club is the actual collection name, as a loyalty kind of reward system for the holders. And we knew that we were going to be hyper targeted to the New York kind of area with that, but we just, we built a dashboard back end where you connect your wallet, verifies you hold NFTs, and we'll give you, buy one, get one free. It'll give you, exclusive menu items to your NFT holding, merch, all of that. And then, down the road, we really hope to actually bring that on chain and actually put these, reward systems. I think Starbucks is doing that, right? They just had a big announcement about it. So we're seeing the people recognize where this is headed and the large capacity, and we're trying to power our be a use case for these businesses. There's a new store that's in New York as well called Solana Spaces. We had a great call with their team. They're bringing products and actually built out a storefront where people can go and they can pay with fiat, they can pay with Solana, just tapping their phone. And we think we want to be like useful in the sense of bringing that level of attention to this type of offering, so that where people go into store, whether it's a Sticky's the Finger Joint or the Solana Spaces or whatever it may be, they're not immediately blown like, oh my gosh, it's an NFT, I don't even want to touch it. It's something that's like, oh, I benefit from this. This is cool. Whether it's an NFT or not really doesn't matter. So
we know what's fascinating is that you guys, what's interesting to me is that I think from maybe the outside looking in, some people could say, oh, well, you guys are doing movies and this or that. Like, why not just all focus on movies, or why not all focus on restaurants, or why not all focus on one thing or the other? But I think because of the versatility of Web3, you guys have positioned yourself as having a really unique opportunity, not just to learn from all of these different launches across different verticals, but also to cross promote in interesting ways. For instance, if you have something like Girl in the Red Cape and that comes out to be a show or a movie or whatever it's going to be, right? Then you also have the ability to cross promote with something like Stickies. Like this is classic. Like to this day, Disney has a movie out. You go to McDonald's, you get the Happy Meal that has the toy, right? Right? My kids all the time, you get the toy. So you actually have the same kind of ability where you can actually partner film and television and all these different games, all these different projects with loyalty cards, essentially, or NFT based collectible loyalty cards from restaurants and vice versa and all this kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting proposition that I think is I'm trying to think. I don't think I've heard of many people experimenting with this yet. So I think kudos to you guys for messing with it.
So some days we're wondering what the hell we're doing, but no, it's I think
gotta catch them all, dude.
Yeah, that's right. We the team has such a diverse background, and we're all full time on this. This isn't just a side hobby. So when you really dive into it, and again back to the point, Web3 is so exciting that it doesn't feel like work. We're up early, we're late. I mean, in terms of every founder feels like is doing that grind, but it doesn't feel like a grind. This is invigorating to me. Like I'm in Discord making stories with a community about a rescue operation for a character that just got created by one of the community members. I think like that's like I feel like a kid and I'm just like playing pretend in the backyard. Yeah. And the fact that we can then layer on this technology that empowers people to take it even further and have ownership in what they've created. It's just, I don't know. It feels like we're in this moment of momentum, a massive momentum shift in technology and everything, and it's just fun to be at the forefront of it.
Yeah, like it's difficult. Like right now, I think people hit the bear mark and they're like, oh man, it's so tough. And it is, right? A lot of people are hurting because of the market. But at the same time, like this is when fortunes are made in the future by the work you put in today. And the lull right now kicked out a whole, I mean, man, height of last year, I mean, we were getting spammed every day, like tons of hacks, tons of this, tons of that, tons of fake DMs. All those people are gone because they think the money is gone. And so what happens is you have the people that are left, the people that are here, the people that are now coming in kind of at this new bottom, or whatever it is, like they have the opportunity to kind of learn in peace a little bit. And projects and companies have the ability to develop and build in peace. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody's bothering you because the mainstream thinks it's dead, which is laughable. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But, whenever the next bull run comes, whether it's next year or 2025, every 4-year bull cycle or whatever, like it's gonna take off. And everyone that's working really hard today and all the communities that are sticking around and supporting these projects today are gonna get rewarded in a couple of years. Like they're getting rewarded now because of the community and because of the projects, and they get behind the scenes and they get to be a part of something. Everyone's kind of really is, to your point, Kyle, like everybody's really genuinely in this together. But when this thing takes off, it's going to take off.
We're also I keep reminding myself, like, we're still so early. Like this is still, in its infancy, where the thing that excited me about the Stickies partnership, and even more so than the Stickies partnership, working alongside Lunchbox, the online third-party ordering system that, Stickies utilizes. They have partnerships with, thousands of other restaurants where, we were kind of their beta test into Web3. But the exciting part about that to me is, the potential for mass adoption or just mass use case when you can actually have QR codes in brick and mortar stores that just immediately help somebody set up a wallet or set up, purchasing their first NFT. Like that to me is how this is really going to happen is, that Starbucks news to me, people were like, oh, I can't believe they're making an NFT. Meanwhile, I was like, we're about to have 1 million plus new people in this space, which is so exciting. You can't really be mad at that when you're in this space. And it's, like you said, when we first minted, it was still in that bull cycle. And the most frustrating part for me coming from Web 2 into the space was how rapid it is. 1 week in this space is like the equivalent
So
of
fast.
and it's people, like, the community, gets frustrated, do something. What are the devs doing? And it's, right now to me has been my favorite time because of, the opportunities that we've had to just build, and nobody's questioning it because, we're now 5, 6, 7 months into this, and they're seeing projects are being released. There's no doubting what this team is doing. So it's exciting. But yeah, I just think that, the IRL brick and mortar use cases, companies and brands taking this on is going to be what really lets this space shine.
Yeah, and to your point too, like I think one of the most interesting things in the stuff that we've tried to convey to our audience and our group, the adult fantasy group knows by now, is like when our Discord goes a little quiet, there's always people, we're always in there talking, but when it goes a little quiet, like, if I don't pop in but once or twice a day or something instead of like all day, those are by far the busiest times. Like behind the scenes, it's not that, nothing's happening. It's that everything is happening. Like there's so many things coming out. Like, it's just like, okay, I barely have time to tweet. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Yeah. It's so much. And yeah, I mean, you guys also mentioned like the whole thing with Starbucks. And so if people don't know, there was a big Starbucks, I don't want to call it an internal memo because they put it on their corporate page. So starbucks.com/ whatever corporate thing. But basically, Starbucks is since day one has been talking about the third space, right? That was their unique selling proposition, and it has been for decades. And that third space is that they aimed to capture that place in between work and home, right? Most people, they did research, obviously, and it's like people go from home to work back home. And so what they wanted was to create that third space. And they did a great job. I mean, this is why it became practically a co-working space. It still is, right? Like you go there, you grab a cup of coffee, you open up your laptop, and you can write a novel there, because you can go there every day for 6 hours a day. And so for them to come out on their corporate site publicly and say Web3 is the future, we believe that is the key to us finally hitting our mission of the third space, using it as a membership key to other things within the Starbucks universe, right? Whether that's a specific section in Starbucks, it's only for members, whether it's discount and loyalty points and loyalty card type of stuff, whether it's other things, partnerships from other restaurants and other spaces. I think, I remember last year, midsummer, when all of a sudden Visa jumped in, Chase jumped in, Citibank jumped in, like on top of all the celebrities, these massive companies started jumping in. We saw not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago or something, a month ago, where Tiffany's jumped in, right? Yep. So all these giant companies are moving in, and they made their announcements last year, and now you don't hear anything. And I think there's a misnomer among some of in the general public that thinks, oh, well, that quiet means they're out. And that's not the case. They made the public announcement. They've allocated resources, and they're working in secret, so they don't unstealth whatever it is that they're going to launch at the appropriate time, right? These are not stupid people. And so I think, to your point, Jaspur, like talking about we're early, man, the NFT market last year, 2021, was basically, in my opinion, like, blockchain 2012 or 13. It was like year zero. Granted, there were some people from like 2017, that were collecting NFTs, but it's brand spanking new.
And that level of Web 2 use case is just not there yet. And once that really becomes prevalent, when Starbucks rolls that out, when bigger brands start, announcing, I mean, if I'm sure they're already working on it, but like if a Nike were to drop an NFT that gives you early access to shoe drops, it's just going to become, the standard. It's like Netflix not shipping DVDs anymore. Everybody's like,
Right.
watch this on my TV, like, and now it's just that's how it works, man. And I truly, yeah, I think we are like in the infancy of it, and it's just gonna explode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Let's jump. Okay, go ahead. Go quick.
No, I was just gonna say, well, the technology is going to integrate, and even just your TV. Imagine
Right.
and that's already happening. It's going to verify that you're a holder of HBO or whatever that is, and unlock that channel for you. I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be there. Your NFT wallet will be as seamless as your Apple Wallet, and again, like people won't even be using the term NFTs or that it's worried about that it being on chain, because they just know that it works and it's cool.
Oh, absolutely. They haven't even realized, a lot of these companies haven't even realized, and a lot of them are slow because they're so corporate and so old. But it doesn't take a genius to say, oh, well, let's see, Netflix is down, stock was down. I don't know what it is now, but let's just say it's down. I don't know. We need to increase subscribers. How can we do that? Well, how about this? You drop an NFT, and what that NFT does is, to your point, Kyle, it pops a QR code on the screen, and that actually unlocks a completely different side of content that's only available to people that have that NFT. So it's like a high tier. Maybe it's these exclusive original shows, or these original shows that are tied to NFT projects, right? Other collectible asset projects. Like, it's going to go crazy. Like, it doesn't take a genius to see that. You're like, oh, hold it up, maybe use Token Proof or some other app, boop, and all of a sudden it logs you in and you're there. And,
or even to take that a step further, as you get into these films being shot in Unreal Engine and everything, having such digital components to it already, imagine your favorite character, which was designed in Unreal, and you scan your QR code and you get to watch the whatever show it may be, and your character is in that in certain frames throughout it, right? Like, I think there's the interactivity that's going to take place there's so many options here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into chat real quick and let's see where we are. What's up, Willie D? How you doing, sir? Welcome. And let's go. Dusty, what's up? Old Dak, what's up? How are you? Let's fucking go. Welcome. Natasha, welcome. Happy evening, Alpha. Hi, Natasha. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ned, how you doing? I see you too, man.
Let's go.
We got KG. Evening, gentlemen. What's up, KG? Welcome. Got Break Bad Run. Said, yo, Visionary Studios, LFG.
I love LFG is back. Like,
I know, right?
It's amazing.
It's great. Aldak says, digging the interview. Very interesting project.
Awesome.
And then Tie-Dyed says that I got it. Yeah, it's pretty understandable.
He gets it.
He gets it.
Yes.
And then he says, maybe something at Stu's Cantina shows up on Sticky's secret menu.
Nice. That's one of those. There's a cross promotion right there.
Right? How would that work?
There what in the Stu's Cantina now? We got some French fries. I saw some chicken tenders. So maybe get those purple sea salt fries at Sticky's. Who knows?
That's right. There's a crossover there.
So Stu's Cantina, something from Girl in the Red Cape?
Totally community driven. Just the people in the Discord and the community just started essentially creating their own backstories and lore about these planets that the girl is traveling to. And one of them has a nice little bar, a little dive bar called Stu's Cantina.
Oh, awesome. That sounds
it was born out of there's this kind of overseer robot droid that's called Val, and this was the safe space. So somebody created Stu's Cantina that Val cannot enter. So now people just go talk shit about Val in the cantina.
Awesome. Break Bad Run says, I'm too bullish. Got my damn heart rate up. Ray, just what's up, man? Welcome. Good to see you. Happy Monday. And Tie-Dyed is saying, yo, yo, yo. And he's just clowning. Carrots, what's up? Welcome. I got a good crew tonight. So you said something that kind of sparked my interest. As you know, my background in storytelling, I think it's everything. I think all of us on this call can agree, like, yeah, storytelling Web3 is the key. Even the big fish, the blue chips, the 2021 blue chips, are all kind of spending hundreds of millions of dollars now in some cases to figure out how to create a story off of the stuff they launched, right? So you have something called Girl in the Red Cape, and it's all community driven, right? So I'm super curious as to like, what is Girl in the Red Cape? Like, how did it start? And then in terms of a community creation, how do you guys go about doing that? What's the process to say, okay, here are the steps we're going to take in order to help people create something in this world together?
Yeah. I'll just touch on the genesis of the project and I'll let Kyle, take it from there. So behind me, actually, this background is our Genesis PFP, which you could see the girl hanging out right there. And that was done for us by the artist Stuzor, who pretty acclaimed Ethereum artist that Kyle had worked with in the past. And his art just was super captivating, and to us was at a level that we hadn't seen on Solana. And the team, we were looking at this image, we were seeing it all over socials, and we're like, there's something here, and realized that the story to be told was about the girl. Who is she? What is she looking for? And with that, we approached Stu about the idea of, attaching some, whether it's a Hollywood screenwriter, and exploring that. And luckily, Kyle, as I said earlier, has a background in the industry, and we were able to put a team together with Stuzor, obviously, Zach Stentz, who was the screenwriter for the original Thor movie. He wrote X-Men First Class, Fringe, and he equally was as captivated by the art that Stu had been putting out. Stu was doing a render a day for, I think Kyle it was 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, 2017 he started.
Yeah, so he was putting out art every day for 5 years, and Zach was just totally into the idea. One of the cool opportunities that this space provides is full creative freedom. Where me and Kyle, when we met with them for the first time, we were like, listen, we're not producers, we're not directors, we're not a studio. We are a studio, but we're not going to come back. Yeah, we're not going to come back with notes and rewrites. We want you guys are the artists here. Put your heads together. Where this goes is up to you. And that really is what sparked this. So we now have this project where we're following the girl in the red cape on this journey to these 12 worlds. And with that, I'll let Kyle jump in to yeah, sorry,
Kyle. No, I'm going to totally interrupt for just to let you both know. So two things real quick. Well, one thing that's two parts. One, Fringe is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Awesome.
And X-Men First Class is, in my opinion, the best of the entire franchise. I actually worked the red carpet for First Class in New York City when it aired.
So there's a common thread between those two projects, and his name is Zach Stentz.
That's right. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, Jaspur touched on a lot of that. I think, again, like, we're coming at this. It's not going to, Zach wrote this incredible narrative that spans over these 12 worlds. So we're really following the girl in the red cape on this journey through these 12 worlds. And he described it today in his spaces as like a love story that spans both, time and space, in the terms of time lasting billions of years and space being, every corner of the universe. So it's in that sense, the scope of it is just enormous, which really is in line with Stuzor's work. If you look at Stuzor and his past work over the, again, 5 years, 365 renders per year, like, there's so much inspiration to find, as you come up with stories. And so he's just telling kind of a one little narrative piece within this much larger universe. This thing is massive. And so the reason we kind of went that route, this isn't a PFP collection. They're really the only character that you, spoiler, there's a few other characters, but really the main character is the girl in the red cape. It's really like a thought starter. It's like, okay, what is going on here? And obviously Zach does it so well that it's engaging, makes you think as your own, sci-fi creative. And then with that kind of foundation, join us in the community, join us as we come up with Stu's Cantina. And we kind of were, it's an experiment. I think everything in Web3 is an experiment. And so far we're just the Mid-Journey bot. We invited that into our Discord, which allowed people to create visuals with the stories that they're telling, and so now all of a sudden it's like, it feels like a massive video game where there's these little side quests. There's, the stories that are being told. And, the way we envision this is we help build this massive world. We set it up, and then people come play in it. And then the mediums that we can go explore it can be audio dramas. It can be, graphic novels or comics. It can be just simple short stories that we collect and write, like the diaries of, Stu's Cantina or something. And then, the long-term goal is we take that, we build with a franchise or build this franchise with the community and grow with the community. So now all of a sudden we're on this footing where this world has been really fleshed out in a number of various ways. And now let's start thinking what a TV or film, idea would be. And it just, to be able to put that, when it seemed like for a while, a lot of people were throwing that on their roadmap. We're going to make an animated series or a film or whatever. And it's such an undertaking. And, you don't realize like how hard that is and how expensive it is. And so now as we work towards that, let's have just fun throughout the way and make it engaging. And, memes come out of it. Like that's where it becomes that community culture that, we want to build. So, and I think you're probably doing something similar, and I'd be curious to hear your, I guess, strategy or take on how do you build a franchise in Web3? It's an interesting kind of thing to think about.
There's multiple legs. And this is something we're working really hard behind the scenes. So what we have publicly is a couple of things. So we have something called the Lore Games, which we do on Thursday nights. And what the Lore Games is a gamified version of a writer's room. We wanted to figure out a way to a couple things. Like for us, our long-term goal is that this project is sustainable for hundreds of years. This is not something about Todd and his artwork or core team and us, getting on yachts or whatever. Like it's legitimately for that kid who's going to turn 18 in the year 2050 or something, and has the passion and the desire to create something, but doesn't want to just completely start from scratch. Right. Mm-hmm. So adult fantasy will be there as a system, bottom up, where if you jump in and you work hard and you put your time in and you put your effort in, you can create something that a community, a built-in community, can wrap around and embrace and support you both creatively, financially, and support your future works, whether it has to do with adult fantasy or not. So from our perspective, the Lore Games is the first step of that, where we said, okay, well, what's the big picture stuff? So we basically modified a couple of role-playing games and bolted it onto a traditional writer's room to where we have, okay, here's how you build a universe. We set it up with different periods across time, and then inside those periods or events, you have events and scenes, right? So these can be episodes, these can be comics, this can be movies, whatever you want. This is the big milestone events that someone might have, like the Marvel universe, like Thanos is gonna, the Infinity Gauntlet goes right here, right? And so as you work on these things, and we have a game system that allows the community and us to kind of play together to just say, what if this, what if that? No, that's stupid. Okay, put it in. Like there's no dumb ideas. Everyone puts stuff into a pot. We have sometimes it's very structured, and in some places it's very free form. And this is something we've been play testing to kind of balance out the system, right? And it resulted in our first story narrative. Like basically we got the entire beat sheet done with all of the main points. And now we have someone in the community, a guy named Zachary Arbella, who's written 13 novels in the fantasy space. He was like, this is brilliant. And so he's writing it as a novel. So it comes out as the first community-based novel, right? From us anyway. Obviously but there's some things like Jenkins where it was like there's forms that you can answer questions to, right?
Yep.
This we wanted to kind of go a step further where it's like there's a big difference in the question. Your character A gets to the nightclub. How does he get to the nightclub? By bike, by walking, by running, or by plane? Well, there's a box in there. There's a closed question, because no matter what the answer is, that character always gets to the nightclub. It's a much different question to say, does he get to the question? Does character A get to the nightclub? And if not, why not? Right? Because then you're really opening it up. And so it's a much harder thing to control. And it's also a much harder thing for us. One of the things that we've been working on is like bringing people in who don't have a writing background professionally, they're not used to putting their ideas out there, and giving them a place to where they feel comfortable with just throwing out the most insane shit. And sometimes it's crazy, and sometimes it's so crazy it works. Like, you just put it out, just do it. And so we've been stacking that. And now that we have that, we're working backwards, all the way down to the character level and all the way down. And so there are different gaming mechanisms that we can use at every step of the way, from character creation all the way up to productization and licensing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a brilliant way to think about it. And I think we're working on a couple different tools that will enhance the experience once we have holders and the NFTs out there. But I'm very, very curious to learn from all the projects that are gamifying storytelling, because it is a tough thing. Once you get too many people and things like that, it can be overwhelming. But it's definitely there's the possibility there. It's just, how do we organize it the best way?
Yeah, this space, especially with Evening Alpha and talking to so many Web3 projects, like it's I guess I'm old enough to not worry about competition or somebody's doing the same thing as you. Like, I thrive on that shit. Like, it's the experienced entrepreneur that knows that you do not want to move into a space that doesn't have quote unquote competitors. Like, if nobody's doing what you already are doing or want to do, there's a problem, right? It's not that you're a genius and you're the first one to never figure it out. Oh my God. Like, usually in most cases, it's because, other people burned out and flamed out, and you just don't know about it. So there's so many people in Web3 who are bringing in the community in so many different ways, that it's really a wonderful time to kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And we get inspired by other people. And there's definitely projects out there. They're doing stuff that's kicking our ass in certain areas. And I see what they're doing. I'm like, oh, they're beat the shit out of us. Like, this is so good. And that just like puts fuel on the fire. You're like, oh my God, that's so good. Okay, how can we do our own version without biting them? Like, how can we like create something that has that same power to it? I love it. Our corner of the market, I think, it's the future, like, period.
Yeah. I mean, I've had meeting you and meeting, the Block of Horror team, the Fringe team, the Jenkins team. There's so many storytelling projects that are out there, and whether they're focused on film 3 or, IP lore building, every founder I've met, every conversation I've had is been wonderful. Like, it doesn't feel like this cutthroat, system where everyone just wants to beat each other up. It's more like, oh, you're doing a really good idea, I'm gonna now try to go above and beyond that, and then somebody else, and it's just all of us are then now rising together, which again, we're so early that as we all go up that ladder, we're just bringing other people with us.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Jasper.
No, I was just going to say it falls in line with that sense of, the more successful projects there are in this space, the more eyes there are on this space. So it's like, why would we want other projects to fail?
That's right.
That's it. It would make no sense. So I do like, Kyle was touching on, that sense of getting in on these calls, you guys, Block of Horror. There is like a sense of camaraderie, because, we are still early in this, but we all have that same vision. We know why we're here. We know what's possible, and hopefully we know what's to come, because I do think that we're on the right track for sure.
Yeah, and we're all attacking the problem from different angles, right? And I think that's to your point earlier, Jasper. Like I think that's one of the reasons why there can be camaraderie, because I'm old enough and I've been around long enough where I saw the same kind of atmosphere around tech startups in New York City, and like right around the trashing of Lehman Brothers in 2008, 2009, and everyone, the minute that the New York startup scene started to pick up, like everybody was talking to each other, everybody was friendly, everybody was down. You didn't have to like sign an effing NDA to talk to somebody about stuff. Like everybody needed to share information, and so there was an opportunity to share information. And by the time it was like 2012, maybe 2011, 2012, that whole first generation, they all knew each other, and by that point, by the time that second wave came in, that shit was locked down. Because they had that first wave had gotten, they were so close and they were so big that they couldn't share things anymore, even if they wanted to, right? Not the same way anyway, not like hanging out. They were hanging out with themselves, right? They were hanging out with their group. And so all these other people came in and had the same questions, but now the information was harder to get.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when the whole meetup culture started to spring up, because they needed meetups to kind of parse all the information through hundreds of meetups. Whereas before you would just call somebody or go hang out with another founder from, I don't know, Foursquare and be like, oh yeah, why are you guys doing this? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a real, like, I recognize this. It's like this weird cross between early New York City startup boom, 2008 to 2010, and from the comic side, like the image revolution that happened in like the early 90s, which was like basically the indie comic boom, when all those guys left Marvel, basically just all left Marvel and started their own projects, and they all became multimillionaires overnight because they were the ones doing the best books, right? And it's really got that same flair to it. Like, and it also hasn't hit. Interestingly, it hasn't hit. I think you'll know it's mainstream when, like, we'll hit that peak of the adoption curve when people in the general media and the general public start treating crypto and NFT based founders like rock stars, like the startup founders became, right? The whole movement of people into the startup lifestyle came when those early founders hit pay dirt. It seemed, not always, but it seemed like one after another, and all of a sudden they were getting crazy press and they were getting like the lifestyle, right? And all of a sudden they were like, holy shit, entrepreneurship and startup founders are the new rock stars, and boom, everybody rushed in. And meanwhile you've got like the Bored Ape Yacht Club guys who have a $4 billion valuation. They raised more money. I believe they're now the fastest growing company on the history of the planet. Like in terms of venture funding and everything else, like they went from zero to a $4 billion valuation in about 12 months.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And which is beyond insane. Fastest raise, fastest valuation, all that stuff. Those guys are still taking Uber and walking down the street, and they could go to Starbucks tomorrow and nobody would look at them twice. You know what I mean? That's going to change in a couple of years.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I personally think that, the creation of IP that'll be coming out of Web3 is also going to be a huge driver of people coming into the space. Almost from, you're going to see miniseries, you're going to see film coming out of this space, and with that you're going to have people that are like, I need to get in early on these things. How did all of these people already know about this? And that to me is, there's no doubt in my mind that, and Kyle's really actually who has ingrained this in my brain, that the next big franchise IP, the next Marvel or Harry Potter, is probably going to come from a Web3 based project, 100%. Just because of the creative freedom that it offers, and allowing creatives to essentially have like a VC raise on their own accord and not have to go to lenders and angel investors and things like that. It's it's just an offering right now that is gonna just flourish art and stuff that there's no doubt in my mind is going to be in the mainstream eye, probably, but I would say by the end of next year, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the technology is changing so rapidly too, and there was such a massive investment on the VC side of things last year into tech focused Web3 tech focused companies that once those products really start hitting and flooding the market, which we've already seen some of that happen, where we had a conversation with a company called Cupcake, and with your tap of your phone, you can mint an NFT, and it could be, whether it's on a sticker or, sewn into your clothing or anything like that. It's seamless. You didn't have to create a wallet. You didn't have to fund it with crypto. The on ramp was just, instant. And as we see more in that type of offering happen, this explosion will take place. And, the bottle cap at your Coke, whatever, it's not going to have a code. It's just going to be tap it. And, yeah.
I would, and just like to add to that, as far as like mass adoption with, brick and mortar small businesses, the thing that, really I, as a small business owner myself, caught my eye to what this can offer owners and entrepreneurs is when you look at, an income statement for let's say a Stickies, they have an expense allocation there for marketing and advertising, putting promo codes on, online advertising. When you are able to, create a project like Stickies and the Hungry Robot Chicken Club, it's not only offering what you're already offering with that promo and whether it's newspaper or online, you're now creating an income allocation from selling these. And, as a small business owner, anytime you can take an expense and turn it into income, that's like a no-brainer. I mean, who says no to that? So I think as that also starts becoming more apparent, you're going to really start seeing, small businesses adapt to this as well.
Yeah, it's the easiest pitch ever. Like one of the things we have, we have a lot of inbound partnerships coming in with our NFT tech, with the cards and the cases and the grading. And it's I mean, the pitch is pretty simple. It's like, hey, so that thing you have, why don't we make it digital, and you don't have to do anything. We'll pay for everything. You know what I mean? We'll pay for the contracts. You don't have to do anything. Just send us an image and we'll do a launch and you get 90% or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't even process people. They're like, wait, so you're going to give me a bag of money? And you're like, yeah. As much as we can. I mean, that there is no pitch. You can't beat that pitch. If you can get past the false belief of like, that's not possible. Right. Once you're past that, it goes into it doesn't matter whether you're selling cars, hamburgers, or films. Like, all of a sudden, the things that you are associating with has secondary value. Yeah. It all can be resold. Back in the day with animation, they used to have these tchotchke. They used to just tchotchke collectibles where you would go to see a movie like Transformers the movie or Akira or whatever, and you would go into the theater, and as a freebie giveaway, they would give you the like a cut of like 5 or 6 cells from the freaking reel. From the reel. So these are like the original prints, and you get like, they're just like, screw it, we don't need it. And so this isn't going to be worth anything. And now you have how many frames are in a film, right? Or screw it, how many scenes are in a film, and you can export X number of frames from that scene, create your mint, and now everyone has a unique NFT, right?
So what you are doing is thoroughly explaining the red cape. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect segue. Yeah, we that's exactly the concept, where we have these 12 cinematic experiences, 12 separate worlds that all have unique tracking shots, to go along with the narration and voiceover. And Stuzor being, a prevalent one-of-one artist, this allowed for, unique perspectives when you go through those tracking shots, find different angles, Everybody is getting their own unique perspective of each individual world. But Zach Stentz, you know, he actually had a comment in our Discord that was like, imagine having the opportunity of like owning a frame from a Christopher Nolan movie. Like how awesome that would be, or like an early Avengers movie that you could just sit there and say, yeah, this is my frame from that movie. So that, you know, it's funny that I'm listening to this and I'm like, well, he gets it, man. Like this. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, really quick, we'll jump. I mean, it makes sense. It's just,
yeah, right.
You know, it makes total sense. Deep Dive. What's up, Deep Dive? Welcome. He says, amazing chat. LFG. LFG. KG says, love to see the next Marvel come from Web3. Very possible. And you know it, man. We're working hard to do that. Although I don't like comparing it to Marvel because I think it's, you know, I think people like comparisons because it makes sense. But, you know, at the end of the day, you make your own thing and you just try to do the best you can. Rager says, really like the comment on IP being huge. But as the tech transitions towards mainstream, what is changing to introduce it or make it available? You guys want to tackle that?
Yeah.
What is changing? What is changing with it as the tech transitions? What is changing to introduce it or make it available?
I mean, would it simply be, you know, it's changing the source of where the IP is being created? You know, I would think maybe it's that these actual Web2 large development studios are now, rather than searching for, you know, pre-existing IP in comics or nostalgic old 90s television shows, things like that. I think they'll probably start venturing into these spaces, you know, whether it's Ethereum or Solana. And that actually will be the introduction to them. That's my thinking. You know, it's readily available to them as it's being created without their funding and without their production notes. So I would imagine that, you know, it's going to be them searching for the new IP rather than us, you know, approaching studios and making it available.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on that, I would say like, you know, studios have existing IP, and obviously they're going to be very careful with that. And it's something we're considering a lot with Girl in the Red Cape. And I think as the tech advances and it's easier to onboard a lot of, you know, community members or the audience to that project, you know, whether it's just bypassing the traditional creating a wallet and using crypto to pay for it versus just, you know, entering a credit card. I think you're going to see a swing towards licensing and the whole model around licensing existing IP or IP from projects and allowing community members to, you know, access to that licensing pool, if you will. You know, so that's something we're thinking about in terms of coming up with essentially buckets of IP that holders can then license their NFTs into, where then, you know, whether it's merch or, you know, TV and film, graphic novel, whatever it may be, they kind of, you know, through the blockchain and the transparency that comes with that can, you know, track that opportunity. And I believe we'll see more of that come to play.
Good answer, man. Yeah, I completely agree. Ray just follows up. He says, right now within the community, we find or see more and more being created, but Breakout feels behind. He says, just seems right now it's just us nerds. I got an answer for that too, but I'll
go for it. Yeah. Well, I would just say, you know, as you tear down these walls, right? As you don't, again, like the budgets of these films are like $200+ million. Like as we, you know, become our little nerd community, if you will, to reference that, you don't need as much, you don't need as large of an audience to really make something, you know, mainstream. You can have your super fans, whether it's 1,000, whether it's 10,000, that are much more valuable in the sense of what you can do with your IP or pushing a brand or whatever it may be, than having, you know, 2 million people on your Twitter following. So I think there's a big difference between audience and community, and Web3 very much focuses on community. And if you are able to nurture and foster a vibrant community that helps grow the IP, then, you know, hitting that mainstream is gonna happen sooner rather than later, I would say. At least that's what I hope.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I think you also have to know when you are. You know, I talk a lot about where we are inside of the adoption curve, which is the very, very tip, which I define as a hype cycle. Meaning, you know, and I'm hopeful that in a bear market we can start to move past that hype cycle, but we probably have, in full honesty and transparency, I believe we still have a little ways to go, because people still FOMO into the dumbest shit. But basically, you know, that hype cycle, that tip of the hype cycle, the what defines that point in time is people buying exclusively, almost exclusively, to make money on the flip, right? Even whether you have official quote unquote flippers or you have quote unquote investors, even though this is not an investment vehicle, they still treat it like an investment in their own mind. And then a lot of the people that have come in, they didn't come in from a storytelling perspective. They didn't come in from a comic collecting perspective or a card collecting perspective or any kind of collecting perspective. They came in from finance or wherever they came from. And for most people, the NFT is the collectible that nabbed them. You know, like, it wasn't Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Wizards of the Coast or D&D or any of that stuff. It was straight up, for whatever reason, NFTs was finally the thing that caught them and got them collecting. And so they're applying their own personal experience and their background, which a lot of them is finance, to a collecting mechanism, right? And so what you have is that flipper mentality, got to get the floor up, or, oh no, the floor went down, oh no, it's crashing, FOMO in, FOMO out, all that crap. The thing is that for those of us who are now in the space, most of the people that we've talked to on Evening Alpha come from the other side, which is brand and IP building, long-term, sustainable, productized growth. And sustainability isn't necessarily sexy to talk about or do. We're talking about IP creation and branding, right? We're not talking, we haven't mentioned, how many times have we mentioned floor price? None, not at all. Yes. And you'll see this even with most of the storytelling projects. The floor is not like Bored Ape, you know what I mean? Like it's because it takes a long time to focus a focused work to build that foundation to create the thing that will scale over time, years, right? Most companies, most startups, when they get their venture funding or they get their seed round or whatever, however they get funded, go into this period of no one knowing where the hell they are, what they're doing, because they're building the app or they're serving the few customers that they have. And they have to slowly chip away at this giant block until they grow into this massive software as a service app or whatever their program is, whatever their service is, until the rest of the world actually starts to suck into it. Airbnb was like that, and you name it. Yeah. Every app is like that. Every company is like that. So I would say that we're actually building it the right way. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in the storytelling Web3 space is going to make it or whatever, but we're going about it the way that's why there's a big difference. That's why you might have the 17-year-old kids who are launching a PFP project with 10,000 pieces make $15 million in a weekend. But then you've got the screenwriter from Fringe and X-Men First Class working on this. You know what I mean? Why isn't he over there? Well, it's because he knows professionalism and he knows long-term how things go. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I may be out of line here, but I have not once considered our floor price on Girl in the Red Cape specifically, where I'm like, oh, I hope this is a 10x floor price. For me, this has just really been solely focused on the creative aspect of it and the potential for this to break out into something bigger than a Web3, cinematic experience. Because to me, it's, there's your 10x, there's your, getting eyes on this project and building that community is going to be, what really drives this project to being successful.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. Well, Regis, great question, man. Excellent work, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, guys, with that said, where should we point people? Where should we send people to find out more about all of your projects and what you guys have going on?
Take it away, Kyle.
Take it away. You opened, I get to close. All right. Yes. Visionarystudios.io. You have the website down there. Check us out there. Twitter, we're at Visionary Solana. And our Girl in the Red Cape project is at In the Red Cape. There's also intheredcape.com to learn more about that project specifically. I'd like to also point out Stuzor is having his auction starting tomorrow called Talking to Gods. It's a 6-piece collection. His artwork, again, is just incredible. It's never something we've seen, I guess, on Solana. So we're super excited for that. And that is actually the launching off point into Girl in the Red Cape project. So that will be happening tomorrow on Magic Eden, the first of 6 different pieces. And these will be all one of one, incredible artwork.
Yeah, with I believe a foreword written by Zach Stentz tying these 6 pieces into the overarching lore of the Girl in the Red Cape project as a whole. So, and that's coming on September 8th.
Awesome. Well, everybody, please go check out those links. Please support Visionary Studios and their projects. These guys are killing it. They're working really hard, and you heard it here first. Like, they're completely legit, and you guys should support it. We need to support all of these good projects. Guys, Kyle, Jaspur, thank you guys so much, man. This is fantastic.
Oh, thank you, man. This was awesome.
Thank
this
you.
Is an awesome platform.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, man. Awesome.
And
go ahead, go for it.
no, I was just say, if anyone needs to reach out to us and wants to talk Web3 in general, like having these conversations is so fun. So we're always open books in that regard.
Oh yeah, likewise, same here. All right, guys, everybody, thank you so much for checking us out. Evening Alpha, bring it to you again. Hop into our Discord, hop into their Discord. And with it, we will see you guys next time.